way to leapfrog to retirement. I had some fun putting this one together, mainly because I speak to people a lot and they are in a bit of a panic. I'll start by sharing a few ways that it's possible and my thoughts on those different types of ways. So the old way, buy a place to live in, so a PPR, a principal place of residence, then save hard and pay it off. Pay off that loan. That's old school. Trouble is, most people get to that point and then they're comfortable. They think, okay, now I'm right to go. Then I'm going to access the pension and then I'll be right. Now, a little bit later on, I tell you about exactly what that pension is. So when I speak to people and they tell me that they really would love a minimum of $100,000 a year, clean income, some even say $200 or $250 a year, $1,000 a year, so that they can go and, go and travel and do all the things that hopefully we'll be able to do soon, but we've always traditionally been able to do, and we can help our kids and all of those kinds of things that we like to do and spend time with our grandkids. So a lot of people say that that's the retirement they want, but yet all they've managed to do is buy a PPR and then they've just got very, very settled. So let's talk about the way that you can leapfrog to a better retirement and how quickly it can happen. All right, so the old way, buy a place to live, save hard and pay it off. Some people actually get to the point where they buy another property, they rent it out, they keep saving and they keep budget crunching and they pay that off. So that's old school thinking, right? It's just get property, be afraid of debt, get rid of that debt as soon as you can. Just focus on one thing at a time. Don't push it too hard. Don't take risk or any risk at all. Oh, okay. So that, it's an old school way. There's one guy, and I'll tell you about in a moment, who's made that work for him extraordinarily well. However, most people, they don't keep going through it. It's too painful to live on a budget, and so they don't actually stick to the strategy. It starts to snowball a little bit though when you buy the next property, and then you use the two lots of rents. So the rent from this one, this is your investment property that has a rental return, plus your rent from this extra property that you've bought. Then you keep saving and budget crunching, and then you pay that one off. Oh, this is slow. Okay. Then you buy another property, you use the three lots of rents and you pay that one off. And one guy I've seen this work very, very well for, this is a remarkable story. This fellow who, we tried to buy this property for a renovator. It's got really nice water views. The guy who owned this property would not negotiate down at all. We started to find out the backstory from the real estate agents. We couldn't work out why he was so tight. Like we were paying right up there at market value, current market value on this property. It wasn't like we were trying to go in really low. And I'm like, why won't this guy budge $20,000, $30,000 or $40,000 to meet our price? And then it got to the point where we went, no, it's still like, this has got nice water views. So even in that state, it was still quite expensive, and we had to put a budget aside to renovate. And then I started to hear the story through the real estate agents about this particular owner. This guy actually owned, through the method above, the old way, he started when he was a teenager and he was in his 90s when we were trying to buy this from him. He actually accumulated 250 homes, 250 properties in Cronulla. Now, properties in Cronulla sell for around about $2 million currently, some more, some less, depending upon their location. So let's call it two. You do the maths on that. So the guy who would negotiate with us by $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000 owns 250 of these homes in Cronulla, which means he owns a total of $500 million worth of property, $500 million worth of property. But let's look at the rental return. He was actually on an average of, say, $1,000 a week rent. He was getting $250,000 a week in rent, $250,000, and he wouldn't negotiate with us on 30 or 40 or 50,000. Now, the rumor amongst the real estate agents is that he runs his life pretty tight. So he ran his properties pretty lean in that he wouldn't get repairs done for the tenants of his properties, etc., etc. He ran everything so lean. He was a lean machine, and he died a very, very wealthy man, handed that over to his kids. That's an amazing story. That is the extreme. What most people do through this old way is get that one, their property, their own PPR, pay it off. Then perhaps they get to another one and they just go, oh my God, this is too hard. They don't end up paying it off. Negative gearing kills them if they bought the wrong property, and then they just bring it to a big standstill. All right, so the advantage of a strategy like that, it's low risk. You'll always be secure. When you've paid one property off, you've paid it completely down, then you don't owe any money to the bank, you will always be secure. No one can take that property from you. Once you've paid it, you don't have any debt against it, right? Then say if you got to the stage where you really pushed it hard and you did accumulate 3 properties, you're pretty well home and hose. Like that's the snowball time, I believe, in that means that you've got multiple rents going down to pay down a different property. However, here we go. There's tax implications of that kind of cash flow. There are tax implications of that kind of cash flow. A lady, if you wanted to take a read, wrote this book in about 2002. I think I actually read this and I thought, oh, this is fascinating. Your property, your investment property, and the lady's name is Anita Bell. So yes, she focused on doing exactly that. She focused on living lean. The book is around about saving money, making your own cakes, never buying things, like cooking at home all the time. Like it's all about living lean. So here's the disadvantages of this kind of strategy. The property market consistently moves faster than the properties can be paid off. So between property 1, your PPR, property 2, your next property, then you go to property 3. By the time you've paid off properties 1 and 2, like how many years is that? You look at the last 10 years, what has the property market done? So you can almost price yourself out. That strategy is way too slow. The only guy it works for is that gentleman who started to buy in Cronulla 100 years ago. So that's who it works for. Everybody else, this is too slow, guys. And here's the big cruncher. Scrimping and saving all of your life and living lean and tight absolutely sucks. And I don't mean saving for a deposit. Yes, we can go through that short amount of pain, but no one needs, or I don't think it's necessary to live like a poor person, like saving every cent and popping it into your mortgage. It just sucks. So here are some different ways. Renovations and subdivisions and dwellings with multiple rents. So renovations to raise the value, to bring in more return when you're talking about rental income. Subdivisions, so taking advantage of the land that exists. If you're buying a house, why not look for a house that has some kind of second value add opportunity or a second opportunity, and that is the land at the back. So renovations and subdivisions. And more importantly, holding dwellings with multiple rents. So thinking about, manor houses or multiple rooms, renting out multiple rooms, or thinking about dual locking a great big old house like I'm about to do here, those kinds of things. So think a little bit differently. So the other way people do it, and this is really common, and this is a taxation strategy. This is not a wealth creation strategy. Buying a negatively geared property, particularly if it's new, off the plan, that's a taxation strategy. Accountants will suggest this all day long, because taxation is their area of expertise. So for every dollar you lose, the government will pay you back 30 cents under the negatively gearing agreement, and that doesn't make any sense to me. This is one of my favorites. I call it stretch and consolidate. So you buy as many properties as you can, and then you sell 1 or 2 when you're feeling too stretched, or you're just feeling like if the fridge broke or the car died or something happened and I had to come up with a good few $1,000s right now, would it be really hard for me to do that? So I love to have a bit of a buffer, but this is the way we've run things. For example, we went to New Zealand, bought 4 properties all at once. And we fixed up one or two of those. Well, one was only a little fix. The second one was a more substantial fix. We hung on for as long as we could. The property values were rising across that 4 properties. All of those properties were going up in value. The same as, like, you know, buying one property and just waiting for that to go up, and then buying another one, waiting for those 2 to go up. It's too slow. If you can have 4 properties or 5 properties or 7 properties and they're all going up by a percentage per year, that's awesome. That's where you get seriously wealthy. And then when you get to a point where you feel like you can't breathe a little bit, then you sell one. You sell the one that's a dud, or the one that's causing you trouble in that tenants are moving in and out, or one that you found needs a bit of repair and you don't want to pop your money into that property. Or alternatively, you can sell one that's worked really, really well for you, throw that against your portfolio, and that will give you plenty of speed to take off and go again. So stretch and then consolidate, stretch and then consolidate. And my favorite buy and holds always have growth. They have the potential for growth, but they have really good rental returns. Interest rates are low, guys. So buy and hold what you can. You'll see people who've had multiple properties in this period of growth in Australia that have done extremely well, because they get the percentage rise in properties right now across multiple deals, not just the one. The other strategy I really like is that you can buy very, very cheap. So cheap buy in, buy and hold. So the amount of money you're throwing in is not a lot. And those buy and holds, particularly in regional towns, if you do that, the focus is predominantly on rental returns. Some of those towns are not going to return you the growth, but you will get good rental returns. But if you want to just keep cash coming into your pocket, then that's not a bad way of going about it either. So the leapfrog way, this is what it's all about, moving fast. Renovation, when you forced value upon a property, you grab a property, you renovate it, you've got more equity to pull out, you've got higher rental returns if you want to hang on to it. Renovation is the key, guys. If retirement is looming, you may not have much choice other than to do a few renovations. You don't have to wait for the growth. You are not sitting around putting money into a property week after week, hoping and praying that it goes up in value. It can accelerate your progress. You get the growth from the market. Like, now is the most amazing time to do this. You get the growth from the market. Plus, you're forcing the growth onto that property through a renovation. So it's like double kapow. Fabulous. It can get you out of a bind if you've bought a bit of a dud. So right now, if you've bought a property that's not been great for you, add some value to it, bring it up as much as you can, make it popular and saleable in that particular marketplace, and get rid of it. It also helps you create better cash flow. Like, people have choice. They'll buy the property that looks the nicest. They'll also rent the property that looks the nicest, and they'll pay a premium for it. So renovation is just my favorite thing. And better quality properties, they rent for more and they're rarely left empty. So if there's a whole bunch of properties on the market, if the rental market pulls back a little bit, then yours will be full and not left empty. And I just love the way that when there's more than one property, then you can get multiple income streams. You spread the risk. You've got, little eggs in baskets everywhere, not all in the one basket. Understand, guys, the age pension is now $25,000 a year. I heard them on the radio all excited. And I thought, oh my God, that's horrible. That is absolutely horrible. So think outside the box. 90% of millionaires got their wealth by investing in real estate, from Andrew Carnegie. Is that how you say it? Carnegie? That's how you say his name. 90% of millionaires got their wealth by investing in real estate. Think outside the box a little bit. Think about the income from storage containers or industrial units. If you can't afford to go and buy a house, have a look at the cash flow from other sources. If you can't go and buy some substantial property, or if you've got property with a lot of land, then perhaps you can add some storage containers or units to that property and use the land for income. Renovate large homes and convert them into multiple room living or high residential living, high res, they call those, affordable living, which is affordable living for people who can't afford to go out and rent entire homes or, freestanding homes. They might have to share a home with other people to be able to get by. That's fine. It's great. They're your market. Manor houses. There are a lot of councils right now where these get approved by a private certifier. You don't even have to inform the neighbours about what you're doing. It allows you to put more on your block. So have a look at your council plans and see if manor houses is something that you could build in your area. It means that you might get 4 separate residences where other people are just putting 2. Airbnbs, beds and breakfasts. Like, think about what you can rent out to the holidayers who are wandering around in this country or hopefully coming from overseas soon. And granny flats. Granny flats. I see some amazing granny flats built, particularly if you've got dual access to property and nothing's to say you can't pop a fence in the middle of your block. That's your land. You can do whatever you like. People can come in from the back. You can come in from the front. Completely separate living, a completely different source and a new source of income. And the interest rates are low. Like, it is a great time to get going in the renovation space or to think outside the box. All right, guys, so that's it for today. That's my little Tuesday live at 12 o'clock. Jump around the mums and dads, renovators and decorators group. I know you're in the group to be watching this, so feel free to have a look around. If you'd like to book a chat with me, you are welcome to do that at renovateandrealestate.com.au/call. It's down the bottom of the screen there, renovateandrealestate.com.au/call. So the types of things I don't mind speaking to people about is where they are right now. What is their blueprint to retirement? Do they have a plan? Like, do you have a plan? Like, are you ready to go? What happens if you lose your job between now and then? What property do you own? Do you have lazy equity? Do you have money around that's not working for you and not generating an income? What is the income that you need to live on or desire to live on in retirement? So let's have a casual chat. I'd love it if renovation was part of your strategy. Obviously, it's the fastest way to get there. I don't have any great lazy methods, really. You can manage your energy around property investing according to how much energy you want to put in. But in the end, that you're either going to be researching or making deals or on the telephone, you've got to get something happening somewhere. So if you're not motivated at all, this is not for you. But if you are, give me a call. Cheers, guys. Have a beautiful day. Bye.